If you're an adult, these four sleeping positions could be secretly harming your health. You closed your eyes last night thinking you were resting. You spent 7, maybe 8 hours in bed, and yet you woke up tired. Your neck felt stiff. Your lower back ached before you even stood up. Maybe your fingers were tingling, or your shoulder throbbed with that familiar dull pain you have learned to ignore. Most people blame the mattress. Some blame stress. Others assume this is just what happens when you get older. But here is what almost no one considers. The position your body held for those 7 or 8 hours may have been slowly compressing your nerves, restricting your breathing, straining your spine, and starving your brain of the oxygen it needed to actually recover. And the worst part is that you had no idea it was happening. Recent studies in sleep medicine have revealed something that should concern every adult. Certain sleeping positions, held consistently night after night, do not just affect comfort. They create measurable physiological stress. They alter blood flow. They compress delicate nerve pathways. They flatten the natural curves of the spine. And over months and years, they contribute to chronic pain, cardiovascular strain, cognitive decline, and a level of fatigue that no amount of coffee can fix. This is not about sleeping poorly for one night. This is about what happens when your body spends a third of your life locked in a position that works against everything it is trying to do while you sleep. Tonight, you are going to learn the truth. We're going to go through the 4 sleeping positions that could be secretly harming your health right now. Not rare positions, not extreme cases, the common ones, the ones that feel normal, the ones millions of adults default to every single night without ever questioning whether they might be the source of problems they cannot explain. And then we're going to cover what actually works, the positions and adjustments that support real recovery, protect your joints, keep your airways open, and help you wake up feeling like sleep actually did its job. If you have been waking up tired, stiff, foggy, or in pain, stay with me, because what you learn in the next few minutes might finally explain what has been going wrong, and more importantly, how to fix it starting tonight. Here is what most people do not understand about sleep. We obsess over how long we sleep. We track hours. We buy apps that monitor cycles. We worry about getting enough deep sleep or REM sleep, and all of that matters. But almost nobody talks about the physical position the body holds during those hours. Think about it this way. If you sat in a chair for 8 hours with your neck twisted to one side, your shoulders hunched forward, and your lower back unsupported, you would expect to feel terrible afterward. You would never do that intentionally. And yet, that is exactly what many adults do every single night in bed. They lie in positions that twist, compress, and strain the body for hours at a time. The only difference is they are unconscious while it happens, so they never make the connection. Sleep is supposed to be recovery time. When you sleep, your body repairs muscle tissue. It consolidates memory. It clears metabolic waste from the brain. It regulates hormones. It restores the immune system. This is not passive rest. This is active maintenance, and it requires the right conditions. One of those conditions is how your body is physically positioned. If your spine is twisted, your muscles cannot fully relax. If your airway is partially blocked, your oxygen levels drop, and your heart has to work harder. If a nerve is compressed under body weight, your brain keeps receiving distress signals even while you sleep. And the damage is cumulative. One bad night will not ruin your health. But one bad position repeated for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that adds up. It compounds. By the time you notice the chronic stiffness, the unexplained fatigue, the numbness you wake up with, or the back pain that never quite goes away, the pattern is deeply established. Here is who needs to pay closest attention. If you work at a desk, your posture during the day already places stress on certain parts of your spine. If your sleeping position adds to that stress instead of relieving it, you never get a break. Your body never gets a chance to reset. If you are over 35, your spinal discs are less hydrated than they used to be. Your joints are less forgiving. The margin for error is smaller. What you could get away with at 25 will start to show consequences now. If you already have back pain, neck pain, shoulder issues, acid reflux, snoring, or poor sleep quality, Your position at night might be the hidden variable no one has asked you about. This is not about blaming yourself for sleeping wrong. This is about recognizing that something as simple as how you arrange your body at night could be the missing piece in a health puzzle you have been trying to solve for years. And the good news is that it is fixable. It does not require medication. It does not require expensive equipment. It requires understanding what is happening and making small, intentional adjustments. If you are someone who cares about protecting your health as you get older, subscribe to Wellness Secrets right now. This channel is dedicated to giving you the clear, practical information you need to take control of the things that actually matter. Hit the subscribe button and let us keep going. Before we get into the specific positions, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your body when you sleep in a harmful posture. This is not complicated, but it is important, because once you see the mechanics, the solutions will make complete sense. Let us start with your spine. Your spine is not a straight line. It has natural curves. There is a forward curve in your neck, called the cervical curve. There is a backward curve in your mid-back, the thoracic region. And there is another forward curve in your lower back, the lumbar region. These curves exist for a reason. They distribute weight. They absorb shock. They allow flexibility and movement. When you lie down, the goal is to maintain these curves in a neutral position. Not exaggerated, not flattened, but neutral. When this happens, the muscles surrounding your spine can fully relax. The discs between your vertebrae are not under uneven pressure. The nerves exiting your spinal column have room to function without compression. But when you sleep in a position that flattens or twists these curves, something different happens. The muscles on one side of your spine may be stretched while the muscles on the other side are shortened. Held for hours, this creates imbalance. The discs, which are like soft cushions between your vertebrae, get compressed unevenly. Over time, this uneven pressure contributes to disc degeneration, bulging, or herniation. The nerves that exit between the vertebrae can become irritated or pinched, leading to pain, tingling, or numbness that radiates into your arms or legs. And here is the part most people miss. You do not feel this while you sleep. You feel it when you wake up. Or worse, you feel it years later when the accumulated damage finally becomes symptomatic. Now let us talk about circulation. When you sleep, your heart rate slows down. Your blood pressure drops. This is normal and healthy. But your blood still needs to circulate efficiently to deliver oxygen and nutrients while removing waste products. If you sleep in a position that compresses major blood vessels, circulation becomes restricted. This is especially true in the arms and legs. Lying on your arm, for example, compresses the blood vessels and nerves that supply your hand. You might wake up with a dead arm, that numb, heavy feeling that takes minutes to resolve. Occasionally this is harmless. But every night, for years, it contributes to nerve damage and vascular stress. In more serious cases, sleep position affects blood flow to the brain itself. Certain positions can reduce venous drainage from the head, which some researchers believe may play a role in long-term cognitive effects. While this research is still emerging, the principle is clear. Circulation matters, and position affects circulation. Next, consider your airway. When you lie flat on your back without proper support, gravity pulls your tongue and the soft tissues of your throat backward. For many people, this narrows the airway. The result might be snoring, which is often dismissed as a minor annoyance but is actually a sign of partial airway obstruction. In more severe cases, the airway collapses completely, multiple times per hour, leading to obstructive sleep apnea. Each time this happens, oxygen levels in your blood drop. Your brain has to partially wake up to restore breathing. You never reach the deepest, most restorative stages of sleep, and your cardiovascular system is placed under significant strain. Studies have consistently shown that untreated sleep apnea dramatically increases the risk of hypertension, heart attack, stroke, and cognitive decline. And for many people, the position they sleep in either causes this problem or makes it significantly worse. Finally, let us discuss nerve compression. Your body contains thousands of miles of nerves. These nerves carry signals from your brain to your muscles, organs, and skin, and they carry sensory information back. Major nerve bundles pass through areas that are vulnerable to compression, especially around the shoulders, hips, and legs. When you sleep in a position that puts sustained pressure on these nerve pathways, the signals get disrupted. In the short term, this causes the pins and needles sensation you might feel when you wake up. In the long term, repeated compression can lead to chronic nerve irritation, weakness, and loss of function. The brachial plexus, for example, is a bundle of nerves that runs from your neck, through your shoulder, and down into your arm. If you sleep with your arm trapped beneath your body or crushed under your head, you are compressing this nerve bundle for hours. Over time, this leads to conditions like thoracic outlet syndrome, which causes chronic pain, weakness, and numbness in the arm and hand. So when we talk about harmful sleeping positions, we are not talking about minor discomfort. We're talking about spinal stress, restricted circulation, compromised breathing, and nerve damage. We're talking about mechanisms that operate silently, night after night, accumulating damage that eventually manifests as chronic health problems. And this is exactly why position matters so much. Not because of how you feel in the moment you fall asleep, but because of what happens over the 6 to 8 hours that follow. And over the months and years, those hours add up. Now that you understand the mechanics, let us look at the first harmful position. This one is more common than you might think. And for the people who sleep this way, it often feels like the most comfortable option. But what feels comfortable and what is actually good for your body are often two very different things. Harmful position number 1, the twisted stomach position. Of all the ways adults sleep, this one might be the most deceptively dangerous. It feels secure. It feels grounding. For many people, it is the only position that seems to quiet the mind enough to fall asleep. Lying face down, chest pressed into the mattress, arms tucked somewhere around the pillow, head turned sharply to one side so you can breathe. This is stomach sleeping. And if you've been doing it for years, what I am about to explain may finally connect some dots you have been missing. Let us start with the neck. When you sleep on your stomach, you cannot breathe through the pillow. Your head must turn to one side. There is no alternative. This means your cervical spine, the 7 vertebrae in your neck, is rotated to its near maximum range for hours at a time. During the day, if you turned your head to look over your shoulder for 5 minutes, you would feel tension building. Your muscles would start to ache. You would naturally turn back to center. But during sleep, you do not have that feedback. You are unconscious. Your neck stays rotated for hours, sometimes the entire night, often in the same direction if you have a dominant side. Here is what happens inside. The muscles on one side of your neck become chronically shortened. The muscles on the opposite side become overstretched. Over time, this creates a muscular imbalance that affects your posture even during waking hours. You may notice that your head tends to drift forward or tilt slightly. You may find it harder to turn your head equally in both directions. But the muscles are only part of the problem. The vertebrae in your neck are designed to stack in alignment, with the nerves exiting cleanly between each segment. When the neck is rotated and held under load, these vertebrae shift. The discs between them experience uneven compression. The openings through which the nerves pass become narrower on one side. This is how chronic neck stiffness develops. This is how tension headaches that start at the base of the skull and wrap around to the forehead become a regular occurrence. This is how people develop radiating pain or tingling that runs down into the shoulder, arm, or hand without any obvious injury, and all of it happens while they are asleep, completely unaware. Now, let us move down to the lower back. Your lumbar spine has a natural inward curve. This curve is essential for absorbing the forces of standing, walking, and sitting. When you lie on your stomach, this curve is flattened. The pelvis tilts forward. The lower vertebrae are pushed into extension, the opposite of their natural resting position. For people who already have disc issues in their lower back, this is particularly harmful. The extension position compresses the back portion of the discs, exactly the area where bulges and herniations most commonly occur. Stomach sleeping does not give the lower back a chance to recover from the day. It adds to the stress. Over months and years, this contributes to disc degeneration, facet joint irritation, and that persistent lower back stiffness that seems to appear out of nowhere in your 30s or 40s. But there is another effect that most people never connect to their sleep position. When you lie face down, your chest is compressed against the mattress. Your rib cage cannot expand fully. Your diaphragm, the primary muscle responsible for breathing, is restricted. The result is shallower breathing throughout the night. For some people, this means reduced oxygen intake. For others, especially those with any respiratory sensitivity, it can mean waking up with a dry mouth, mild headaches, or a vague sense of not being rested despite sleeping a full night. The body adapts to what you give it. If you consistently restrict your breathing at night, your body learns to take shallow breaths. This affects oxygen delivery to tissues, including the brain, and affects the removal of carbon dioxide. The effects are subtle but real. So why do so many people sleep this way if it is so harmful? Because it feels safe. Because pressing the body into a solid surface creates a sense of being grounded, protected, cocooned. For people who carry anxiety or stress, this feeling can be deeply comforting. The position itself becomes associated with relaxation, even though it is creating physical harm. And because the damage happens slowly, there is no obvious alarm. The neck does not scream in pain on night one. The lower back does not seize up after a single week. The harm accumulates quietly, and by the time it becomes noticeable, the pattern is deeply ingrained. If you are a stomach sleeper, here is what you need to know. The discomfort you feel when trying to sleep in a different position is temporary. It is the discomfort of change, not a sign that other positions are wrong for you. Your body has adapted to stomach sleeping. It takes time to adapt to something else. Transition strategies exist, and we will cover them later in this video. But the first step is recognizing that this position is not neutral. It is not a harmless preference. It is a biomechanical choice that affects your neck, your spine, your breathing, and your quality of sleep for years to come. If you have been waking up with neck stiffness, headaches that cluster around the back of your skull, lower back aches, or a vague sense of fatigue that sleep does not fix, your stomach sleeping habit may be the hidden cause. Now let us move to the second harmful position. This one affects people who think they are doing everything right because they have heard that side sleeping is healthy. And for many people, it is. But there is a version of side sleeping that causes significant harm, and it is one of the most common positions adults fall into without realizing what it is doing to their body. Harmful position number 2, the arm-trapped side position. Side sleeping, in general, is often recommended by doctors and sleep specialists. It keeps the airway open. It can reduce snoring. For people with acid reflux, sleeping on the left side can reduce symptoms. There are real benefits, but not all side sleeping is equal. The position I am describing now looks like this. You lie on your side, but instead of keeping your arms in front of you, you tuck one arm under your pillow, under your head, or directly beneath your body. You might wrap the other arm across your chest or tuck it underneath as well. It feels cozy. It feels compact, and for many adults, it is the way they have always slept. But this position creates a problem that worsens over time, and the effects often appear in places you would never think to connect to your sleep. Let us start with what is being compressed. Running from your neck, through your shoulder, and down into your arm is a complex network of nerves called the brachial plexus. This network controls movement and sensation in your shoulder, arm, and hand. It passes through a narrow space near the collarbone and under certain muscles before branching out toward your fingers. When you lie on your side with your arm trapped beneath your body or your head, you are placing sustained pressure directly on this nerve pathway. The weight of your upper body compresses the nerves against the structures beneath them. For a few minutes, this might cause nothing more than a slight tingling. But for 6 or 7 hours, night after night, this compression creates real problems. People who sleep this way often report waking up with a dead arm. The arm feels numb, heavy, and unresponsive. It takes minutes of shaking and movement for normal sensation to return. Most people dismiss this as a minor inconvenience. They do not realize that every episode represents a period of nerve oxygen deprivation. Over time, this repeated compression can lead to chronic nerve irritation. You might notice tingling or weakness in your hand during the day, not just when you wake up. You might find it harder to grip things firmly. Fine motor tasks may become slightly more difficult. In more severe cases, this contributes to conditions like thoracic outlet syndrome, where the nerves and blood vessels in the shoulder area become chronically compressed. Symptoms include pain, numbness, and weakness that can significantly affect daily function. But the damage is not limited to nerves. When your arm is trapped beneath your body, your shoulder is forced into a position it was not designed to maintain under load. The head of the humerus, the upper arm bone, presses forward in the socket. The muscles and tendons at the front of the shoulder become shortened. The muscles at the back of the shoulder become overstretched. This is how anterior shoulder dysfunction develops. The shoulder begins to sit forward even when you are standing upright. You might notice that your shoulders round forward, that your posture looks hunched, that reaching behind your back becomes uncomfortable. For people who already spend hours at a desk with their shoulders rolled forward, sleeping in this position eliminates any chance for those muscles to reset at night. The tightness that develops during the day is reinforced during sleep. There is no recovery period. Circulation is also affected. Major blood vessels run through the same areas as the nerves. When you compress these vessels for extended periods, blood flow to the arm and hand is reduced. The tissues receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients. Waste products are cleared less efficiently. While the body can tolerate short periods of reduced circulation, chronic nighttime compression may contribute to longer-term vascular stress. Some researchers have raised questions about whether habitual arm compression during sleep could affect vascular health over decades, though this research is still in early stages. The bottom line is clear. Sleeping with your arm trapped beneath your body is not a harmless habit. It is a nightly assault on the nerves, joints, and blood vessels of your shoulder and arm. And here's why this position sneaks up on people. It does not cause dramatic pain immediately. It causes subtle symptoms that build slowly. The morning numbness becomes normal. The shoulder stiffness feels like part of aging. The occasional tingling in the fingers gets attributed to something else, maybe too much typing or holding a phone. By the time someone connects these symptoms to their sleep position, the pattern has often been reinforced for years or even decades. The critical distinction is this: side sleeping itself is not harmful. In fact, for many people, it is the best option. But side sleeping requires that the arms remain in front of the body, not beneath it. It requires a pillow thick enough to keep the head aligned with the spine, not sinking down toward the mattress. It requires the shoulder to remain open, not crushed under body weight. When done correctly, side sleeping supports the spine, keeps airways open, and allows for proper circulation. When done with trapped arms and collapsed shoulders, it creates the same kind of damage as any other harmful position. If you have been waking up with numb hands, sore shoulders, or tingling fingers, the answer may not be a new pillow or a doctor visit. The answer may be as simple as learning how to position your arms when you sleep. We'll cover exactly how to do this in the solutions section later. But first, we need to talk about two more positions that affect even more adults. The next one is particularly deceptive because it looks like the picture of perfect sleep. Flat on your back, body straight, spine seemingly aligned. Except for millions of people, this position is causing harm they never suspect. If you are finding this information useful, take a second to drop a comment below and let me know. And if you have not subscribed yet, this is the perfect time. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the rest of this information. The solutions we cover later could change how you feel every single morning.